Hey guys, welcome back to the Rockford YouTube channel. For this video, we are going to unbox and build a Creality Ender 3 V2 3D printer. Now, Banggood.com was nice enough to send me this item for free so I can make some videos showing it to you. But even better, they provided me with a promo code for this item. I will link it down below and include that promo code. With the promo code, it is $239 with free shipping. Now to compare, at the time of posting this video, the price on Amazon is $290. So on Amazon, $290, on Banggood, $239 with my promo code. So keep that in mind, link down below. Let's open this baby up, put it together, and see how we like it. Nicely packed, that's for sure. Looks like we have the user manual. That is attached. A nice little screen. Looks like the stand or holder for the filament. And, whoa, don't lose a piece. The 3D printer itself we'll put off to the side just for a second. And there's more down below. One of our motors. We can do some drywall afterwards. Some tools, zip ties, screwdriver. Looks like we have some hardware and accessories, a little bit of filament. And a belt tensioner. That's it. Now for the easy part, putting it together. Before we get into assembly, we'll take a quick look around. We have the removable glass plate that goes on top. There's little clips on front and back. I'm going to take those off right away to get this thing off, just so we don't break anything. Fragile, we don't want to break. We also have a drawer up here in front. So for now, I'm throwing my clips in there so I don't lose them. If we come over here, you can see you have a micro SD slot and a USB port. Looks like a belt tensioner there. For leveling the bed, you have your wheels. Got the business end. So basically the building is creating our frame here. Got some wires that'll have to get connected. If you're looking back, you can see where your power supply goes. You have the on-off switch, and something really important, that switch right there. If you're in the US, you want the 115 side. If you're in Europe, you probably want the 230 side. Before you plug it in or turn anything on, make sure you get that switch to the correct position. You can just stick a little screwdriver or something in there and flip it the other way. Before we even get into building it onto step one, I think it's easier to adjust the bed here. Now if we look, see how we got that wobble? We don't want that to move at all. And a lot of the stuff on here is adjustable. So if we look in here, let's see if I can show it to you. See that nut on the roller right here? That's an eccentric nut. If you've ever worked on cars, it's like a front end alignment. It's the hole going through the nut is not centered. It's off center. So as you turn the nut, this roller is going to go in and out. So we want it tight enough that we don't have that wobble, but we want to be able to move the wheel with some amount of force. So be able to rotate that wheel just a little bit without actually the bed moving, because you want it making contact, but you don't want it too stiff where it becomes kind of a herky-jerky motion. So we're going to get the wrench out and tighten that up just a bit. There's this one in front, and on the same side, there's one back here also. I want you to notice, I got the wrench on the nut. See how it moves a little bit? You can see I'm not moving very much, and we're already solid there. All right, feel pretty good about that. No wobbly. It's moving nice and smooth. Let's move on to step one. First step says installation of ZAxis limit switch kit and the ZAxis profile. So that's our verticals and our switch. Here are our two vertical supports. You'll notice that they're pretty similar, except for one has two holes right here. The other one has these widely spaced holes up here. The wide spaced holes, as you're looking at the machine, go on the right side. The other one goes on the left side with these holes towards the bottom. And we're going to have two bolts that were in that package that are going to bolt it right on top here. One thing that's nice is all the bags are labeled. You can see this says M545, and that's what we're going to use to screw these in. So we're doing the right side first. This is if we were looking at the front of the machine, looking back. You can see these two holes right here. We're going to slide our bolts up through there, and we're just going to snug them for now. We'll get things tightened down later, but we want to make sure it's lined up. For our right side support, we want these holes towards the bottom, so just like so. And you can see there's some threaded holes at the bottom. So we snugged them up, but it can still move just a little bit until we get everything situated. We're going to do the same thing to the other side. Now we need to install the ZAxis limit switch on the left side over here. This is what keeps when the arm's coming down, tells it when to stop. And again, labeled in a bag, so it makes things nice and easy for us. So on the back of the switch here, these are called T-nuts. There's a bolt coming through here. You want to loosen them up so they are movable. They go into this channel. Whoops, come down so you can see. They go into this channel, and then as you tighten the bolt, they're going to turn sideways in this channel, and it locks behind the groove there. You can see this little tab. That's going to sit right here. So we get these things lined up in there. And you see where that tab sits right there on the rail. And we'll get those tightened up. Congratulations, you're through step one. Step two is installing the ZAxis motor kit and T-type screw. Notice in the picture they've rotated the 3D printer. From this view you are looking at the back. So we're going to do that and install the motor. Here's the motor we're going to install. It uses two of the M418 screws. Notice they have a tapered head on them. And these holes right here are tapered. And it's going to get bolted right there. Next thing is your screw. It's got this protective sleeve over it. That just goes right in here. You can see at the bottom it's got this little clamp here. We're just going to have to tighten that Allen, and that'll hold this thing in place. And that's what it looks like installed. Step 3 says install the pneumatic joint ZAxis kit and synchronous belt. So that is going to be the extruder and the belt and rod that goes up and down. Alright, so we got this guy here. And one of the two rods that are left, now if you look at this one, there's two holes right on the end. And then you got this where it's cut away. That's so a bolt head can fit through there. And this is going to sit just like that. See, the bolt head goes through there. And just like so. And then we also have two holes here for your Allen wrench to go through, because that is difficult to get two screws started. And the screws used for this portion are the M416 screws, which I'm sure are in a bag. So you can see we have the belt around that back pulley there. We have the extruder here. And I just have one end right now hooked on. We're going to put the idler pulley on next. And if I can get this to sit somewhere. You see this rounded head bolt there. It matches up with that cutout right there. And we're just going to sit somewhere like so. We're going to use the M416 bolt again, and we're just putting this front one in. Just the one for now. Now we're going to install this belt tensioner. Comes in a bag. It's this guy right here. You unscrew this from the end. That blue thing went right on here. It all pops out. We got to run the belt through there, and then it's going to get bolted on like so. So it's going to look something more or less like that. Now there was a screw in the bag with the tensioner. Can't say that word today. You can see it tapered. We have a tapered hole here. So that's where that one's going. Then your other bolt for the pulley goes right over here. Now you can put your other M416 nut on this side, and you now have a belt tensioner. We just need to hook up the other end, this brass guy, to the slot on the extruder. See, slide right in that slot there. You're going to want to tension your belt. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we have this little pneumatic joint that screws in the top right there. We want to do that before we get too far ahead here. And that's just right there. Just screws in. Step 4 we basically already did. It's your extruder on that bar with the idler, the pulley on the side, and the bolt. So we already did that. In step 5, installing the X-axis tensioner, which we already did. Next we want to screw in our bed leveling guys in each corner, maybe 3/4 of the way in so they're down far enough. Then you just drop your cross member over the top. It screws into the vertical screw. You can see that controls it there. Once we get this lowered enough, we're going to bring this down until it hits the stop switch, and then we're going to tighten. And then we're going to tighten our bolts on the underneath for each of these rails so we know they're in line correctly. So number 6, we're just installing the Z-axis moving kit and adjust the tightness of the X-axis and Y-axis with the tensioner that we saw. Now we need to install the gantry profile, which is just the top bar here with 4 bolts. Looks like it's the M525s. Pretty simple test there. Looks like also it says to connect the display screen. So yesterday the battery on my camera went dead and I didn't have the patience to wait for it to charge before finishing. But we're going to go through the instructions and I'll show you we're 90% of the way there. 90%. And you just have 2 bolts on each side that go into the top there. And then the display, as we were doing, it has the T-nuts, 2 on bottom, 1 on top, and it can slide anywhere along that rail, just wherever you tighten it up, that'll stay. I got mine right up in front, it seems logical. Now we're getting to just about finishing up. Step 8 is install the material rack, the gantry cover, and indication knob. So the rack or holder for your filament uses 2 T-nuts. They are in their own bag, and these 2 bolts are in their own bag. And you just put them through this guy. Again, it can mount anywhere along this channel. And then this end screws off, so you can pop this plastic guy through, and then you put it back on once it's through the bracket, and bam! You're holding your filament. Now the other part were these little caps, which really are nothing. It's just it's kind of sharp edges, so they just push on. They were in a bag. And then you need to put on this little knob, which just pulls off. There's a flat spot right there, and you just line up the flat spot with the spot on here. And as it's printing, you see the thing just kind of go back and forth. You can also use it to manually feed in filament. And number 9, we're doing our wiring connections and hooking up our tube, whatever the thing's called, our fallopian tube or something. So it comes connected here, and you have to connect it to this guy here. And all you do is push the tube in until it stops, and then put this little blue clip between the 2 pieces, and that holds that in place there. Then we already plugged in the screen in the previous step. So here you have your other wiring connections, and they're all labeled, if I can get to one. So like that says Z on it. The extruder one says E on it, if it would focus. The only one that's a little tricky is this one right here, because you might not see it at first, but it's hidden in there, and I had to use a little screwdriver to push it into place. And then you got one more right there. And you can see it has its Z label. Then plug your power supply into the back. Make sure you're on 115 if you're in the US, or that 230 if you're in Europe or wherever they use 230. And that's it. That's all we got to do. It's ready to go. We got to do the bed leveling. And this you're going to do often. So let's turn it on. So you're going to go to prepare. You just turn the little knob here and then click it to select something. Then you're going to go to AutoHome. Auto-homing. See, compared to my other 3D printer, this is much, much quieter. The only noise from this is the fans. The fans are kind of loud, but you don't hear the motors. Then after we do our AutoHome, we want to disable stepper. Now here's the part where it's do as I say, not as I do. Because you'll notice I got a nice scratch already in my glass plate. So what you do is get a piece of paper and you slide it underneath here. You can see the extruder going up against the paper there, and you just want just a little bit of drag, just so you can feel a bit of tension, but the paper still needs to be able to go under it, okay? And you're adjusting the height with these wheels right here. So when you screw it in, you're pulling the plate down. When you unscrew it, you're letting it up, and you're just adjusting till you feel just a bit of drag on the plate, on the piece of paper there. And you're going to do all 4 corners. Now what I did is I didn't have this side adjusted all the way down before starting, and this side was right, and as I pushed it across, I scratched it. So you definitely don't want to do that. So you're going to go here, you're going to go here, you're going to go to the back corner here, you're going to go to that back corner, then you're going to go to the middle. And I would do it at least twice, because you start here, and then you adjust this, you adjust this, you adjust that, and you could throw this one off just a little bit. You shouldn't have to make as much adjustment, but you may have to adjust other ones, and it's really important to get it as level as possible. So I would do it at least twice. If you go through a second time and you're still making a decent amount of adjustments at each corner, then do it a third time until you feel like you didn't have to change anything and it was good. There is my old 3D printer. Look how bad the bed is. That bed was a nightmare. I tried the hairspray trick, I tried the tape trick, everything got stuck to that bed. I used a little, almost like a putty knife like this, but a razor blade, about cut my finger off trying to get something off of it. It was an absolute nightmare. And this thing, it's a heated bed, but then it cools when it's done, when the print's done, and things just fall off. You just pick it up like it was sitting on a table. It's amazing. So this little dog was one of the items already on the SD card that comes with the printer. You can see printed pretty well. And then I have these DeWalt tool holders that I made. Let me show you. Here's one with the old printer. So you can specifically look around the S and the V how it's gappy and looks really crappy. And you can see not real good. And I always had a problem leveling the bed on that one. Like you can see all the layers, and they're kind of tilting to the left a little bit there. So that's the old printer. And then here's the Creality. Look at these. The letters look really good there. Now the other interesting kind of part, and I don't know enough about this to know why, is on the old printer, the Cura program that gives you your code to, or gives you your file to print this, it had supports printed for this one. You can see how they're kind of stuck to the bottom still, but it did supports for these ends. And I didn't change any settings, I just put the same thing in here and set it for this printer, and it didn't print supports, but you do see some cliffhangers here. I have the SD card in there, so let's select something else to print. I'll show you how easy it is to do. Now there's my tool holder I did the dog. Let's try a pig. Gives you your printing time. The time remaining I've found a little bit inaccurate because as it goes, it drops faster than actual time, so maybe it's not a real good estimate. Now you're going to see it warming up. Nothing will start until the bed and the extruder both get up to the operating temperature. One thing that, while that's warming up, I forgot to mention about the filament. To put in the filament, to load it, it goes through this hole with the brass ring right there, and you're going to push, see that button where it's textured? You push that button in, and then you can feed the filament. It's got to go all the way through this tube and through here until it comes out the extruder when it's hot, and you can use this little wheel to also screw it forward. Alright, you can see we just now got up to temperature, the bed and the extruder, and it's doing its thing, getting its position. It's going to draw us out a skirt. Yeah, we're doing a line first. Clean out that extruder valve. Clean the extruder nozzle. Make sure filament's there and everything. Alright, now we're going to print our skirt. Alright, we'll show you a quick clip of it at the end to see what this pig looks like. If you're interested in a 3D printer, the Ender models are probably some of the most popular 3D printers available. And right now with that Banggood promo code, you can get it at a very good price. So that link will be down below. Thanks for watching. Give the video a like, subscribe for a nice subscriber. And hopefully we're going to have a pig here in a couple hours. Alright, you see we're 35 minutes in. It says 4 hours, 30 minutes remaining. Now it's supposed to be a pig, but we got some pieces that aren't exactly connected. And at first I was like, is that a fish? Is that a fish? Looks like a fish, but it wouldn't make sense with a pig. 1 hour in, 3:25 left. Hard at work. 3 hours in, hour and a half remaining. Looks like those are supports maybe. Four hours in, 21 minutes to go. Starting to look like a pig. A happy pig. Miraculously, it also smells like bacon in here. After 4 hours and 17 minutes, there's little piggy. He's a cute, tasty little guy. Now I'm going to give the bed a few minutes to cool, and I'm going to show you how easy this thing just pops right off.